Okay, Steve, you're on, baby.
Good.
This is our sports announcer.
All right, this poem is a parody on a particular genre of music that I don't care for, and that music is called Gangsta Rap. However, my poem is called Gangsta Rap. The other mob talks back, and I hope it has entertainment value. That's why my sister's going to tape it, for at least some people anyway. There will be two different men speaking, and I will employ two different voice inflections. These men are, after all, not nice men. They can be amusing, but they will use terms that are slightly disparaging to at least one ethnic group. Anyway, all right, this is part one. Tony speaks. Yesterday, I took my dog for a walk in the park, and I passed by this detective that I know is a knock. Now, with me, he should have no misgiving, because that is not how I make my living. So he must have been looking for other fish he could fry. Just maybe somebody was there to make a buy. See, now, I don't do nothing to inflame the public's wrath. But anyway, I make my way through the woods and down the path. And who do I run into but my old pal, Willie Rashama? Yeah, there he is, dangling his foot in the pond. And you know what? He ain't a bad guy for mulling yarn. So I says, Willie, you guys gotta stop putting on these public displays. It's bad for business and it never ever pays. When two guys got a beef and are doing some disputing, it's no good to spray the sidewalk and a drive-by shooting. You don't want to upset somebody who's a local citizen, because if you move to the suburbs, you want they should let us in. You should join the local church and give to the charities, and mix with people with names like Stepnowski and the McGarrity's. Sure, when you're younger, you like people stepping aside because you're notorious. But doing heavy time in a can is not what you call glorious. Better to move into some place and just try to blend. No sense in doing something to people that you might offend. And why do you stealing from people who make nickels and dimes? Might as well go somewhere else to commit more serious crimes. When it's time to rob, you go down to the wharf where you can take cars and clothes, TVs and so forth. Now me and Mo see we sponsor a crew. They always know exactly what to do. Whenever they do some work down in the docks, they make sure they won't run into no cops. They ask the stevedores to go take a stroll, then slip them some cash for coffee and a roll. They usually bring in a large stolen trailer. One time backing up, they almost hit a sailor. Hey, well, what can I say but bada bing, bada boom? They steal a lot of things, they need a lot of room. See, them companies is what you call heavily insured, and losing a few crates is something that is mostly ignored. And when you really want to take somebody down, you try to make sure nobody else is around. Late at night, when the guy is coming back from his gumara, you whack him, then go to the bar to drink a pina colada. You tell the police you don't know nothing about what has just occurred, and anything you repeat is just words that was overheard. Yeah, and what you want to do is leave regular folks alone, and don't be a big-mouthed chump who acts like a gavon. There was this time we was called out of town to do a favor. It was to take care of a delegate involved in labor. See, the grand jury was getting ready to indict. It sent all the family members into a fright. Even though they liked the union guy who was about to talk, they was afraid he'd flip, and the DA would let him walk. So one morning when he came out to get his paper, our guy walks up to him just like he was a neighbor. Now the union man was sleepy and feeling benzi stonad, so our guy goes, beep, beep. The union guy went to the hands of God. Then another day my friends was given a special assignment. It was meant to change the racket's local alignment. Now my friends, got together to load up their cannons, and they went looking for some Irish wise guys known as the Shants. Now one of our friends says, let's leave them out on their tavern's doorsteps. We'll pop them and pull out their hearts with a pair of forceps. So my other friend says, this is not what you call a very good notion. It's much better to put them in a bag and dump them in the ocean. So then my friend says, we'll take their credit cards and driver's ID, and we'll put them on a bulletin board for everyone to see. It's good enough to teach all the others a proper lesson instead of hanging them up like it was salamis in a delicatessen. Okay, this is going to be part two. This is an old-time New York Jewish gangster, and he offers his advice to follow up. Ah, yes, I can only repeat my younger friend's point of view. In the old days, his father and I held up a joint or two. Last week, I visited with my dear friend Gaetano, and you know he's not a bad fellow for an old paisano. Yes, we were sitting there drinking from our cups of espresso, and there are some things that I feel I must confess to. In years past, we would share with our friends some bowls of kashas, and then later we might have to fit them for cement galoshes. I guess you could say over the years I did some things I shouldn't have. Maybe you could say I was acting a little mashugana. But we usually tried to make money our very first priority, and we tried to keep the crazies among us down to a minority. There was a time when one of our own was acting kind of screwy. He decided to end his troubles by killing prosecutor Tom Dewey. So we told him we didn't think we would like the results, and we had no choice but to shoot the guy called Dutch Schultz. Some folks think we killed a big shot. JFK was his initials, but I swear to you we don't never shoot no public officials. Hey, if you want, we should have a politician that supports us. Then I feel I must say something to my friends, the local sportsers. You shouldn't make all your dough from the funny white powder, then come around in flashy cars with music that gets louder and louder. With our own people, this issue has caused some dissension. Most of us feel you draw far too much attention. Now me, I'd rather make some money on folks who want to wager instead of waiting for some dope deal to come true on my pager. In some parts of the country, this business is perfectly legal. This was something recognized by our good friend Bugsy Siegel. But when it came to real business, Benny was not a maven. But we thought the idea of a casino was something worth saving. Poor Benny had to be sent to join the Dutchman. Sometimes that is the way to deal with such men. Better you should relax and learn to sit on your tuchus instead of peddling drugs that are meant to hook us. Oh yes, there are still times we must put the competition to rest, but believe me, there's no sense in making a mess. Not long ago we agreed to eliminate a guy called Simon the Fox, but the question arose how soon to put him in a pine box. So one day I went to a hockey game to sit and contemplate about which day would be best for Simon to meet his fate. While we was betting on how many tries that the goalie saves, I said to the boys we shouldn't shoot Simon on the high holy days. We all agreed that this here Simon was a regular schmutz, but we would only shoot him after he visited his toots. See, nobody would be there to see him retire, and he wouldn't have time to shake him for spine. Now I hope you fellas give up your present style and try to adopt some of our methods for a while. There is no reason for you to whine and fret about it. The best thing to do, as my friend says, is to forget about it.